Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Family Mix Mondays with your host, Jaquitra Bryant.
Good evening, Source Nation. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to just join you back for the new year. So happy new year to all of my Source Nation family. I hope that this is a transformation year. This is a year that we are truly indeed going to break those cycles that I mentioned a lot in 2016, because we're going to have a mindset shift, we're going to have a perspective shift, we're going to have an action shift, and we're going to really do those things that will cause change within our families, within the relationship, with our children, our spouses, within our family. We're going to really do those things to birth change. And I'm excited because the series that I have going and the other series that I've just came up with are really going to connect those conversations that we need to have about the issues in today with our youth, with our young adults, with our teens. And so I'm just really, really excited about it. So, again, hopefully everyone had a happy new year and ready to birth change and break some of these cycles. I actually have a guest tonight who has a really unique program going on. And so we're going to have this guest, Maurice Dent Jr., is going to join me in having a discussion about a project or a program that he has moving forward. And as I was reading, it's pretty unique. And so I want him to come on and just tell you about it so you can join in and spread the word and really, again, another person restoring some lives and breaking some cycles on. And so before Mr. Dent joins us, let me stop and thank our sponsors, Zulina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Taper to Film Productions, Revolution Meals and Renovation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Urban Grandstand Digital, New Covenant Praise Worship Center. And after the break, I'll have Mr. Dent Jr. join me and talk about his event that he has going on.
Source Nation, stay tuned. You're listening live to Family Mix Mondays with your host, Jaquitra Bryant.
Source Radio Network is just one of the many platforms that is used to fulfill dreams of our listeners and create a purpose that will impact the lives of our communities, cities, and the world. It is often said that great things will happen when a group of driven people work together to accomplish one goal. We're giving people the opportunity to have a voice, translate words that haven't been heard, and paint pictures that no one has seen. Source Radio Network is fueling your life's purpose. How can you listen? www.blogtalkradio.com/Source Radio.
Photographs are a memory that can be cherished for a lifetime. Trying to find a photographer to capture those memories without burning a hole in your pocket can be difficult. Not anymore. Here at Cat Photography, we promise to give you the quality photos that you need while capturing those memories that people love. Specializing in weddings, events, family, and senior photographs and portraits, we'll give you the pictures you'll love while sticking to your budget, while sticking to our promise of affordability and quality. For more information on bookings and prices, give us a call at 336-505-8974, 336-505-8974, or email us at catphotography1@gmail.com, catphotography1@gmail.com. Cat Photography, creating the perfect photographs, memories, and more.
Seen love beyond repair from a heart that wasn't there, and still I carried on. So-called friends who've had my back, integrity they surely lack. Reflect, and now they're gone. Now I know for certain things may have their seasons, question why or reason. I am not broken. I am not broken by what you've chosen to be to me. No, no, no. It took some time to figure out your insecurity, self-doubt should not be cast on me. I've had challenges of my own, so keep yours there where they belong. They're not designed for me. Now I know time heals all bruises lives inflicted. Won't let them hold me back. I won't be restricted. Though you try to shut me out, create disbeliefs and doubts about who I truly am. Words you spoke, designed to cut deep like a knife, create misery and strife. But here I stand, strong and unbroken. I am not broken by what you've chosen to be to me. Well, I got stronger every day, forever growing. I'm not broken. There's a peace within my core from knowing I'm not broken. Onward to the mountaintop, never ever gonna stop. Like a acid set of hills, but you'll find me standing still. Strong and unbroken by what you've chosen to be to me. Onward to the mountaintop, I'm never ever gonna stop. Getting stronger every day. I won't look back, I'm on my way. There's a peace within my core, 'cause I know something's in store. And I keep on standing still. Strong and unbroken. I am not
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Family Mix Mondays with your host, Chiquitra Bryant.
Welcome back, Source Nation. Again, I'm your host, Chiquitra Bryant, and you're listening live to Family Mix Mondays. And as stated before the break, I mentioned that we have a young man coming on to talk about his event, and it sounds really, really interesting from the things I've read about it, and I'm really excited about the things that he has to share and offer so that you too can get involved and just have some knowledge of anything. And so before he joins me, I want to tell you a little bit more about him. And his name is Maurice Dent Jr. He was born in Albany, Georgia, and as a child he relocated to Greensboro, North Carolina with his parents. And after graduating high school, he attended North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University before enlisting in the United States Marine Corps, where he proudly served his country. And after several years in the IT field, he later went on to attend North Carolina School of Bible Studies while serving the youth, college, and young adults ministry at Sharp Road Church of Christ, where he is currently one of the ministers. He is married to the former Brittany Moore of Selma of North Carolina, and he is currently finishing up his BA in Christian Counseling and working on his MA in Theological Studies from John Wesley University. His favorite scripture is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is and his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And so I'm really excited about bringing my guest on. I know he's willing and waiting. And so, Mr. Den, how are you? And thank you so much for just being a part of Family Mix Mondays.
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for just coming on and being able to just shine some light on this topic in this area. And so they don't really know what the topic discussion is about. Like, that's the part I really wanted you to, I think you can tell it way better than I can by just me naming the topic. But before we really jump into that, tell Source Nation more about who you are, any new things you got going on, and just what else you would like for them to know about you.
Well, I am the associate pastor at the Sharp Road Church of Christ. I serve there along with my pastor, Nicholas Glenn, and us two just got there in January, so we are brand new to the church and the area and looking to really make a difference. And I was surprised you read all of my bio. Most people don't do that usually long, and I'll say, I love God. But I, of course, have 3 children. I have 2 daughters, one that is 8, one that is 7, and I just had a son. He's 8 months, and I have a wife. Her name is Brittany, and I've been married to her going on 9 years now. So I'm starting to feel like a veteran.
Well, I guess we could just get into the purpose. So before we really get into what you're having, more about the background of it, I want to start with, tell Source Nation about just the event itself. Like, when is the event and the name of it? And we can just start there.
Well, this is an event that is put on by Compassion International. The name of the event is the Compassion Experience, and it is going to be taking place January 19th through the 22nd. Again, that's January 19th through the 22nd. That's a Friday through a Monday, and it's going to be at the Sharp Road Church of Christ in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is at 2400. So the idea of the event is there's so many people that will never get a chance to really see what being in a different country is like. I know one of the things we've taken for granted here in this country is poverty. And yes, people in this country, we experience poverty, but sometimes it's nothing like being in a different country. I got a chance in my lifetime to visit some different countries, and you'd be surprised, people don't even have clean water to drink. And we have access to so many things here. And so what Compassion International has actually done is they have allowed us to be able to take a journey into being in a different country to experience the poverty that certain kids go through without even going to that country. A lot of people will never be able to go to a mission trip. A lot of people will never be able to go to a different country like Africa or Haiti. However, you can experience that right here in the United States at Sharp Road Church of Christ on January 19th through the 22nd.
That's really awesome. I think that's a really good experience to have. And you're right. I served on, I can't say I served on the mission team. I went on a mission trip about 2 years ago with a church that I once was a member of, and went to Jamaica. And it was definitely a different experience. And I remember the church, like, as we were preparing for it, talking about that culture shock was possible due to looking at some of the poverty level and the clothing and maybe the houses and the amount of food. And I think it's really important because you're right. Like, a lot of us won't be able to do mission trips, and a lot of us probably don't even realize what we have here compared to a lot of other countries.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know, just speaking for myself, when I grew up, I was a little bit of a knucklehead. And a lot of the trouble I got into was because, let me back up, I had very good parents. I grew up in a 2-parent household, whereas we struggled through some things. I had my parents, but somehow, some way, I tricked myself into believing that what my parents had to offer me and what we had was not enough to get us out of the situation that we were in. And so I turned to a lot of things that other kids turn to today, and some of those things are not good. But when you're able to look at what other kids don't have, and they're able to somehow push through and to have joy and to be happy, and they want to give more and to do more for the communities that they are in, I'm here to tell you we have enough. We have enough to get us out of the situations that we're in, and I think that it is a powerful thing to be able to experience the lack that some other people have.
I think it's a really interesting model that y'all have. So I'm really curious as the background as to how this idea came up. One, to provide education about poverty level within some of these countries and with the youth particularly, and also to provide some type of real-life experience to be able to view it or hear it. So how did this idea even get started?
Well, again, Compassion International is the organization, and it was their idea that, hey, if we could just show, we could make people feel what it is like to be in an area of poverty, people may want to understand better and they may want to do better. So, of course, that was their idea. Let me tell you how it came to Sharp Road. This is a family event. The idea came to us because my children, I don't want to say they're somehow sheltered, but sometimes I don't think they understand the benefit and the lifestyle that they've been accustomed to. Everyone does not have those opportunities. So the idea was we were going to take them to the Compassion experience in a different city. Not only that, we're setting up a whole lot of different things for them to do just to get out and to serve people. Because if you serve people, you'll find out really how blessed you are. And through that avenue of us going to take our kids somewhere else to see this experience, we actually worked it out so that we could have it in Greensboro, which it has not been in the area before. So I'm super excited about it, and I think it's going to be a great thing.
You raise a really good point because, a lot of the topics on my show emphasize breaking generational cycles. And one of those generational cycles is the lack of exposure and lack of communication, and just the fact that, you use the term shelter, but really, a lot of that is people kind of stay within their same neighborhood. They stay within their same home and never really know what's really happening so that you actually can serve other people. And so I think that's a really good thing to do when you're inside a family setting, is to really expose your children to some other areas to serve. And so they can build this selflessness about them, because that's what Christ wants, right? He wants us to be more like him and to serve. So I think that's a really excellent point. So you mentioned that. So what's the youngest age to the oldest age, or kind of how does the experience look? Is it something that you'll be hearing, seeing? What's the length that it typically takes to experience the journey?
Okay. So when you're walking through the journey, there's actually 3 different kids' stories that will be set up there from 3 different countries. So if you want to, you can just walk through one child's story. If you want to, you can walk through all 3. And what happens when you get there, it tries to allow you to use all of your senses: touch, smell, what you see, what you hear. You'll have headphones, you'll have iPad or iPhone, and you're able to go through there. You're able to hear the child's voice. You're able to see exactly what it's like for the kids when they sit at the dinner table at night. Maybe what it is that they eat, where they go to shop at the grocery store. I got a chance to walk through the experience one time, and I was amazed. One of the children, all she wanted for her birthday was just an apple. And when looking at the fruit, it wasn't even fruit that us in the United States we would even eat. We would call it bat fruit. And they just wanted those things. So I believe, of course, it's going to be a powerful experience. I think it's going to be life-changing for someone. It brought me to tears.
Wow, that's really interesting and needed. And yes, you're right. And I think as we were talking at the beginning, what kept coming to my spirit was just about the holiday. So we just finished this holiday with Christmas and gifts and all kind of things in that area. And I was thinking, what an awesome way to start the new year off, where we help change the mindsets about the true essence of giving and serving to others, and really recognizing that where we are fortunate, but where we really have power over, like power over and control to serve others or to volunteer. And so, I was really thinking about that. I was like, man, this comes right after Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. And poverty is something that I'm passionate about in general. And while I'm on this, I'll actually put in a plug. On that Saturday, January the 20th, we're actually going to have a concert as well, a free benefit concert. And I guarantee it's going to be some of the best gospel music that you've heard. The atmosphere is going to be amazing. But what we are going to do with that is we're actually going to focus that and bring awareness to our local poverty as well, because I'm also very passionate about that. You mentioned the holidays, and I walked outside yesterday, and my teeth started to chatter just because it was so cold. And I think the week before Christmas, I got a chance to go and hand out coats and blankets and gloves, feed a hot meal to some homeless people that are in Greensboro. And I honestly didn't expect the high number of homeless people that would show up. I thought it would be a cold night. We were meeting under a bridge, and almost 250 homeless people showed up, and a lot of them were small children with them. And I'm telling you, this stuff will bring you to tears when you realize, as cold as it is, and as much as I feel it, someone else is sleeping out there right now.
Right,
someone else doesn't have anywhere warm to go. Someone can't get into the shelter. Someone doesn't have food to eat. And we want to bring awareness to that as well.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate and sad. You're right. Like, I live in Atlanta, and in Atlanta, the population for homeless is unbelievably high. And there's some homeless men near the downtown area where I work, and I'm always seeing them. And my thoughts over the holidays just kept going to, like, man, I hope they're okay. Like, I hope someone went out and got them blankets. Because I usually, when I go to work, I'll take blankets, I'll take food, I'll take shoes, I'll take inventory and be like, hey, I'm noticing that you probably picked up somebody's old shoes, but your feet aren't really in them, and I'll take some shoes back by, or I'll take blankets. And so I didn't go down there while we were off work, but I was so concerned about them. And so I was glad when I came back, someone had taken hats and gloves and pillows, and they had new blankets and stuff. And I was like, oh, good, okay, they're fine. I just couldn't get down here. And so it's something. It really just touches your heart. I have this thing for, like, I'm always seeing older men and older women. And so their health really concerns me. Their mental health concerns me a lot. And so I don't get to see as many children, which is a good thing, as much as we have, like, in Atlanta. Yeah. As you were talking, I was reading up about more with the experience. And how did y'all decide on which particular areas to choose from for the actual experience to be heard?
Actually, we just got lucky to have it in this area. Of course, it's never been here before, and it is such a long wait list to have it in this area. It can be up to 2 years to actually wait it out and to be able for them to get to this area. So Sharp Road Church of Christ is looking at it as a blessing from God to be able to use us, our particular congregation, to make the city of Greensboro aware of this issue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about afterwards? Are people able to somehow afterwards give to this particular country or send merchandise or water? I know you can't ship a lot to another country when it comes to food. You barely can even come in on plane with food. But is there something connected to it where people can give or maybe keep in touch with the particular families that they listen to?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I have my kids doing is they're going to be writing letters to some of the children that are there. I think that is an excellent thing so that they can keep in contact and kind of build a relationship. I told them if they continue to do that, maybe one day they would be able to go and visit the child that they are writing, because the plan is for us, we're definitely going to sponsor a child. That's just something we have to do. And so, yes, you're able to sponsor a child. You can do that, of course, at CompassionInternational.com. And then if you're even wanting to give money towards local mission, we have an organization at the Sharp Road Church of Christ called His Footprints. And on a weekly basis, we give out to homeless people toiletries, food. I just told you that we give coats, blankets, those things out as well. And so you can make a donation to that as well at any time.
I think one thing that I would love for our Source Nation family to take home is the unity and the awareness that you have when it comes to your role as a father and in ministry to get your children involved. And since I often highlight breaking cycles and really just restoring relationships and families back together, I think that is a really good thing just to get your kids and the family involved with something like this, to have a servanthood and a selfless act. And so I really hope that some of our family members decide to get their children involved as well.
Yeah, let me tell you, this is great for families. I mean, it's absolutely great for families. It was a family outing for us. We had a good time. We learned, we cried, we shared together, and ultimately we had something to talk about afterwards. And sometimes you can try and teach your kids something, or you can tell them, but it's better to be able to show them. And so this was our way of actually showing our kids. I had a joke with one of my daughters. I said, you all just getting apples for Christmas. And they were okay with it, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I said, you all just getting apples for Christmas. And they were okay. They understood. And so that's the point.
Yeah. It can't do anything but bring you to a humbling spot.
No.
Like everything about like what you're naming sounds like the experience just can bring you to a humbling place. Definitely a humbling place. I'm glad that y'all decided to even put it on because I think a lot of awareness needs to actually happen. And so in discussing more about this particular compassion experience, it definitely is compassion. That title is perfect, actually. And you mentioned about y'all's church taking a while to get on the waiting list. So if other people want to get involved, like were you a part of helping with that process of even getting your church involved to know like how other churches and other people can actually join in this experience and bring it to other cities and states?
Yes, I was. And if you want it to come to your city or state, again, Compassion International, look them up on the website, and it's a link on there that says sponsor at your church or your organization. It doesn't just have to be a church. It can be an organization as well. And, of course, there is that waiting process, but if you're willing to wait or maybe God opens up something, you can have it in your city, CompassionInternational.com.
Yeah. This sounds like something that definitely needs to keep going.
Absolutely.
And so we definitely want them to come to Greensboro, but it also sounds like something that needs to keep going.
Yes.
Sounds like many ears need to hear this. And so I guess for you, Maurice, like what's something personally that's touched your spirit with just being able to, I guess, hear some of the stuff that you've heard with the kids? I know you mentioned your children and that experience with your family and them getting more involved, but I guess you as a pastor and as a person, what other ways has this really touched your spirit here?
Well, I'm looking to see the result of it. I'm waiting to see the result. I have no idea how it is going to impact our youth there at our congregation. If it has the same impact that it has on me and my family, or it has had on me and my family, that'll be great. But truthfully, I have no idea how it's going to impact them. I can tell you that this year, our focus for our youth group at the Sharp Road Church of Christ is service and leadership. So anything that did not have to do or doesn't have with providing service for people in our community or leadership, we actually cut it out this year. Everything that we're doing with our youth group will be centered around service and leadership. And so this is just one of the ways that we can help open their eyes to understand why you need to serve, and not only why you need to serve, but also what serving is all about. And so hopefully it's something to kickstart and to get our year going in a good space or a good direction.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea. I really do. I think it's necessary. So I was thinking oh man, I think this would be awesome with some of the teenage youth in our church. And I have a 10-year-old, and he has gone with me a few times to deliver some of the items to the homeless. And we have Meals on Wheels here, and so when he's out of school, we drove around and went to the senior homes there and try to really incorporate that in. And, schools typically have bring your canned goods, bring your coats, but this is another level. And so I'm really impressed with this being another level, because it's one thing to say, bring in your canned goods or bring in a coat to your school, but it's another level to say, come experience this and what other people your age are experiencing.
Absolutely. And it'll make you appreciate everything. It will. It really will.
It is. Oh, wow. I'm really glad your church decided to get involved with it and that you have your children. Is there any other thing you want to share with us about the Compassion Experience? Is there a cost if people were to come to the event at your church?
The cost is absolutely free. There is no cost to you. When you go to Compassion International, if you want to actually pre-register, you're able to do that in CompassionInternational.com. You could look up Short Road Church of Christ, those dates, January 19th through the 22nd. And when you look at those dates and you click it, you can actually reserve a time if you know the time you want to show up. That way you don't have to wait in lines and things like that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. And also, speaking of times, I raised another question. So what time frame is it? I know you mentioned the days. Is it all day running? Just in case, because this is out of state, so, we're hoping that there are going to be some people traveling in on buses, because this sounds like a really awesome thing that I think a lot of the youth, it's right after the Dr. Martin Luther King holiday, right before Black History Month, so this sounds really, really something that people can really get engaged in. So is there a certain time frame?
We have several schools in the area that are committing to come as well. But from that Friday, I'm going to give you the times because they're all different. The times on Friday are from noon to 8 o'clock p.m. It's from noon on Friday to 8 o'clock p.m. And then on Saturday, the Compassion Experience will be going from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That's 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. And again, just a reminder, at 5:30, there's a free benefit concert that is also happening on Saturday. And that'll go from 5:30 to 8:30. Sunday, we are inviting everyone to come in to worship with us. That Sunday morning, we're going to start and kick off that Compassion Sunday with a hour of praise. That Sunday morning, that's going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. Our worship services start at 10:30, and then the Compassion Experience will be open. That exhibit will be open from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. that evening. And then on Monday, it will be open from 11:30 to 8, from 11:30 to 8 p.m. at night. So get in your buses. If you are in Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, anywhere in North Carolina, get in your buses and come on down to be with us in this great experience.
Yes, it does sound really, really interesting. It really does. And so I'm like, oh, man, yeah. I'm glad that your church stayed in the fight on the waiting list and the guy opened up that door. I'm sure there is great reason. And so it's amazing how God works. Like sometimes we don't see his plan in the process, but as soon as it comes up and you're there, you're like, this is why. This is why I waited. This is why.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I don't believe anything happens by chance.
No. Oh, my goodness, no. I have learned that the hard way, but I learned that. I learned that everything God does on purpose, for purpose, with purpose.
Absolutely.
And it is. And I think this is something.
Divine design.
Yeah. So I know we didn't really talk much about, like, how they can, I guess, support your church or get in touch with you as much as, like, the other website with the Compassion International. What about if people want to just kind of worship with your church, or give that address again, where it's located, and then if you have personal information, if people want to ask you some more questions about it, how can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So, of course, I am at the Sharp Road Church of Christ, and we are in Greensboro. You can look us up. That is at sharproadcoc.org. Go and check out our website. We have a whole lot of things going on there. A really vibrant church, powerful church, and we're moving and growing consistently, trying to do the work of our Father, our Lord and Savior. And also check us out on Facebook. We're on social media. Just look up Sharp Road COC on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all three of those. And you can also download our app, Sharp Road Church of Christ. That's on the Play Store, Google Play Store, or on your Apple Store. If you wanted to get in touch with me for anything, you are more than able to email me. My email address is ldent. That's L as in my first name and last name, Dent, D-E-N-T, 055 @gmail.com. And I respond pretty quickly.
Well, any other last-minute closing words, or just something that you feel like God is leading you to say as we close up this particular conversation with inviting everyone in?
Well, I just hope that everyone throughout this process, even if you don't show up to the Compassion Experience, and believe me, we hope that you do, we just want everyone to examine your hearts and your thoughts and your mind. Look around at the people that are around you. And especially if you are blessed to be able to sleep in a warm bed at night and able to have a meal to eat, you're able to worry about, even though you have to pay that bill, you're able to flick your lights on and off. Those are things that we take for granted. So even if you can't be a part of this experience, I would urge you to look around. There's so many people that have so little, even locally, even if you're not looking in the foreign aspect, just look locally. And I know a lot of times we believe that people have put themselves in these positions. And we'll say, well, I was able to pull myself out, and I was able to make sure that I have all the things that I need. Everyone else should be able to do the same thing. And I'll just share a story. I've met a lady here recently, and the lady owned a business. She's very successful in owning her business. And in the same month, both of her children died, both children, young children. Mm. And she just checked out mentally. You know, she checked out mentally. And I know this is something that our listeners, if you're out there, those things happen. And if you're listening to me, those things happen. And because this lady checked out mentally, she's now in a position where she is living on the street. And she wants to fix it. She wants to get help, but she doesn't even know how. So just look at your situation, and hopefully you're able to look at that, and God will be telling you that you can do something to help someone and to change their lives. I also, again, invite you to come out and be with us. We are going to have the Compassion Experience January 19th through the 22nd. Also on the 20th, we're going to have a special concert at 5:30. You don't want to miss it. And also I would like to say to you, Jaketra, just thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. I thank you. It really, really helped me to, I am trying to be intentional about my day and everything I work on by saying, okay, God, today I'm going to be intentional with working toward this, for this promise that you have, or working on this about myself. And today I'm going to be intentional with just listening or being quiet or serving someone else, or I'm going to be intentional as a parent. And so, no, I think it's such a humbling place where I'm trying to make sure I grow and do more and serve more and encourage others. And so, like I said, I'm all about, like, restoring. And that's that's not just in the United States. If God gives me an opportunity and says, hey, it's on your heart now to go globally, then I'm there. And so I think, like, you know, we often think that servanthood is just in our families and in our thing. Of course, you got to get your Jerusalem right. You definitely got to get your Jerusalem right first. But there are people like those other children that you mentioned. And I think it's awesome to reach a place of selflessness and to keep spreading it. And so I love what you're doing. I really love what you're doing. I'm going to check the calendar on those dates, and it's like, this is really interesting. And so I do thank you so much for joining.
I thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And so, Source Nation, you are listening to Maurice and I, and I really hope that you join in on the compassion experience and really follow up with him and follow up with his services and their church, and just really just look more into it to see how you can now be a servant. Pray and see where God is asking you to whether go or whether he's asking you to be a sponsor or be a host to one of the churches that you mentioned. And I really just want you to just really get more involved with this and be more intentional with your new year, with changing your perspective, changing your mindset, and changing your actions to a lot of things. Because we have a lot of cycles to break and a lot of restoring things to do. And so our sponsors are Zulina Health, Wellness, and Fitness. So we want to thank Paper to Film Production, Revolution Meals and Renovations, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Urban Grandstand and Digital, and New Covenant Praise Worship Center. And I'm your host, Chiquita Bryan. I hope you continue joining in as we continue breaking cycles.